What's up, guys? Welcome to the Donny Herndon podcast/show. Stole that from Gary Vee. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in, Mom, and my two other friends and myself who's going to watch this later. I have wanted to start a podcast for so long, and I kept procrastinating. And finally, Gabe finally got my butt in gear, and now we're making a podcast. We're making a podcast. Yeah, bro. Like right now. Woo! Woo! Yeah, that's great. Anyway, so this episode is more of like an intro episode to what I'm going to be doing in the future. What I'm going to be doing in the future is this. I want to interview my friends, and I just want to have a conversation. I want to have a conversation about their story. Like, where do you come from? What do you do? How do you do it? Why do you do it? Like those kind of things. And I also want to interview people who interest me. Maybe it's a business person in whatever industry they're in, or maybe it's singers, songwriters like my friends Gabe and Callie. Maybe it's actors, producers, directors. Hopefully it's a bunch. I'd like to bring you guys some entertainment just from my personality and just from me, but also I'd like to bring you guys some nuggets of value, maybe things you can take into your careers, or maybe you can find encouragement. And honestly, I hope I get to build a relationship with some people online. That's what's so cool today. Like, one thing I've noticed is there's so many friendships being made over the internet. Like some of my friends that I used to make back in high school and middle school was over online, like playing Xbox or like playing PS4 or something. So it's really cool to see how social media and like these online internet services really are connecting us. And today is just a really cool age to be in. I'm grateful to be alive, even though we are stuck in a pandemic, which is like the worst thing ever. I mean, how's your pandemic experience been, Gabe?
It's great.
Okay, he's lying. It sucked. It's really, it hasn't been that bad.
No,
I mean, we just lost all of our money, all of our clients, and everything we were doing just got punched in the face. But at least we're not dying. I mean, there's people literally like, I mean, if you or someone you love or someone you know or care about has been affected by the coronavirus, I want to be the first. Well, definitely probably not the first person to tell you this, but I want to be one of the people to tell you that, man, I am sorry, and we are living in some crazy times, but I really do believe we're going to get through this. I do believe we're going to come back better, stronger than ever, because I really feel like this has united a lot of people. I really feel like a lot of people are uniting. I feel like a lot of you people have, including myself, have been able to experience this time with our families and just kind of break away from the craziness that is life, especially in the USA. We are 9 to 5, 0 to 60 all day long, it feels like. And coronavirus just made me, and I bet a lot of you, just slam on brakes. And for those of you who've been affected financially like me and my friends, like I also am very, very, very sorry about that. But anyway, enough talk about the coronavirus. Let's talk about some positive, happy stuff. I kind of want to tell you guys a little bit about myself. Again, probably like 5 of you are watching this, and you're all like my best friends, and so thank you guys for watching it. But just in case of the small chance that some other person who I don't personally know watches this, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Donny Herndon, or Don is my real name, but I go by Donny. I am 20 years old. I know I may look 40 or 5, but I am actually 20 years old. About to be 21. I'm like a couple months away, Gabe. Woo! I'm like less than 2 months away. Yeah, man. So I'm about to be 21 years old. So I'm going to be able to have my first drink. Yeah. So I'm super excited about legally. I'm super excited about that. But I want to tell you guys a little bit more about myself. Like I said, my name's Donny. I'm 20 years old. Where do I live, Gabe? Do I kind of live here?
You're split.
I'm kind of split. I'm split between staying at home with my family in Alabama and then also coming up here to Atlanta to hang out with just friends. My friends, just friends, which is ironically enough. We'll get into that later. But so I'm kind of split between there. Corona really did kind of put a big thing on my brakes. Actually, let me talk about that for a second. I want to tell you guys a little bit about how Corona affected me. And I know it's affected a ton of people, but maybe you can relate to this, or maybe this is just like a crybaby party about myself. So right before Corona hit, I was supposed to be flying to Italy to hang out with my friends. I don't even know if you know this. I don't know if you know all the things that Corona's affected me. Me and Gabe also run a marketing media company, and we also work together in the music industry. Gabe and his fiance Callie, they are in a pop duo group based out of Atlanta, Georgia here, called Just Friends, and they get to sing songs, write songs, and do all that kind of fun stuff. And I get to kind of like be their intern and help them out. So when I can. So I do that. And then I was supposed to work in a movie right when I came back from Italy. And then after Italy, I was supposed to work on that film. And then right after the film, I was supposed to get on a plane with my friend Quentin, and we were going to fly to Israel to go to a conference in Israel. We were supposed to be there for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then I was flying back from here to then go to Atlantis for my birthday and my friend's birthday. And Gabe and Callie were going with me. And then after that, I think that's the coolest things that Corona's affected me, outside of just absolutely ruining my financial situation, which is my fault. I'm going to take responsibility there. I should have prepped for it. Gabe knows this. I'm a huge, like, hey, be smart with your money, all that kind of great stuff. But I just sadly did not prep right and was not ready to be hit. There was a lot of investment in a lot of things I was doing before this giant pandemic. But enough of the pandemic talk. Back to more about myself. Well, I guess I just explained a lot about myself. But again, I'm going to have to cut like most of this stuff out because I'm repeating myself a ton. But just to kind of get myself back on track, let me tell you guys what I want to do. Okay? What I want to do is I'd love to be more involved in the storytelling industry. My backstory there is, you know what? Actually, I'm going to take this a whole different route. Let me rewind the tape a little bit further. I'm going to tell you guys a lot about my life. So growing up, I was born in Opelika, Alabama. I'm sure a lot of you probably have no idea where that's at, but just to give you some reference, you know that that college football team that always beats all the other college football teams, Alabama, the Elephant team. Well, we're that school that sometimes every 10 years beats them, so that you hear about every 10 years. So that's where Opelika is at, Auburn, Opelika. So that's where I was. That's where Donny Herndon spawned into the world. And from there, my parents, my family, they come from a very small town in Alabama. So growing up, we moved around a ton. Actually, last year when I kind of rented my first space for the first time by myself, it was my 23rd bedroom in, at the time, 19 years of life. 23rd bedroom. So my family moved a ton. We never really moved out of the Southeast, but we moved around to places like, we lived in Alabama a lot. I lived in Georgia a ton, just different areas. And I lived in Florida once. So just moving around, growing up, there was a lot of that. And, one thing I always tell people is one thing that really gets you through hard times when you're a kid is having friendships. And for me, friends were hard to come by for a long time, because what I always tell people is there's two ways I see people make friends. One, you either go to school with them, like when you get old enough, then you transfer to a new school, you go to a new school, you meet new friends, or you kind of grew up with them your whole life. Well, see, I actually had neither one of those luxuries, because most of my life I was a homeschooler. And then and most of my life I moved all the time. So for a large part of my life, actually probably half my life, I had like no friends. Like I knew nobody. And then the latter half of my life, I started learning, hey, no one's going to necessarily come up and say hey to me. If I'm going to have friends, I've got to get out there and like meet people. So, which I'm super grateful for, because honestly, that has been the biggest asset of my life since then, is having the ability to walk into a room, know nobody, and by the time it's over, like meet everybody in the room and become friends with them. That's also, me and Gabe discovered today, that's probably my biggest, like, not my biggest asset, and probably my, the biggest downfall for me, because I overcommit and commit to way too many things. But from there, I went to high school. Finally, when I went back to Alabama, I graduated high school, graduated with some awesome friends around me. I really could not have asked for a better high school career. And from there, immediately, the stereotype for every single person to do is to go to college, go to college, go to college, go to college, go to college. Well, the problem is I'm not smart enough to go to college. Well, I mean that, and also I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. And because I'm not the smartest person in the world when it comes to academics, it was going to be really expensive for me to go to a school that I wanted to go to. So I just determined that maybe it's not best for me to go right now. I'll take a gap year. And so during that gap year, I ended up working at a church in my local town. And from working that church job, I got a job working on a marketing team for a lawn care company in Alabama. And why this is significant is this. I started out, I got a job interview to be a door knocker. My job was literally going to be somebody who goes door to door, asking people if they'd be interested in our company servicing them for lawn care. And during the interview, I love my old boss. He was so amazing. But maybe he was like on something, because during the interview, I never door knocked before. He goes, you know what? I really think you have. I really think you have some like leadership skills. I'd love for you to like consider being our supervisor. And I was like, okay. And he's like, so here's what that would entail. You'd have to go out and build a team of like 6 to 12 people. And what you would do is you would drive a minivan around neighborhoods to have them knock with them, but have them knock on doors and ask people if they were interested in fertilization and weed control. And I'm going to tell you what, but then they told me how much he was going to pay me. And I was like, oh, wow. A couple bucks above minimum wage when you're 18 years old is a pretty attractive thing. So me being crazy and ambitious, I said yes, and ended up being one of the coolest experiences of my life. Very, very difficult at first. When we first started, I remember after our first night out, driving the van around neighborhoods and knocking on doors, my boss calls me and he's like, Donnie, did I make a mistake? Because we literally were so bad. Like, no one was saying yes. No one was even opening the doors. But by the end of it, we had one of the most successful teams in the nation for that franchise. So it was a really fun experience. I got to learn a ton about myself. I got to learn a ton about leadership and a ton about people. And so that was a lot of fun. But while working there, and it wasn't that company's fault, but my body was under a ton of stress. So actually, I'll probably pop up a picture right here. This was me in high school. I was kind of a stud, wasn't I? But while working at this church job, while working for this lawn care company on their marketing team, I really just got really stressed out. And another thing that kind of like made me sad was, I think I was sad and maybe a little bit depressed that I wasn't necessarily hanging out with the friends I was around all in high school. So during that time, I got really, really, really stressed and actually gained about 100 pounds in a 9 to 12 month period. Like literally gained 100 pounds of weight in that period. And there's some other reasons for that. But now looking back, I wouldn't have said this at the time, but I really think I was kind of depressed or something. I really don't know why, but I gained about 100 pounds in that 9 to 12 month period, and just realized, I love my boss. I love the people I get to work with. I do have a lot of fun, but I don't think this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I didn't really know what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, but I knew it wasn't this. So in about 2018, this movie came out, and the name of it was I Can Only Imagine. And I went to the theaters and saw that movie, and I'm telling you what, like I just started bawling my eyes out. Like the movie just impacted me in such a way. And the other cool thing is I worked with a lot of college students, and I worked with a lot of high school students when I was running that marketing team, because I was like 18, 19 years old. And a lot of the guys I hired and worked with, these were guys, it may not sound like a really hard, difficult thing to go knock on doors and ask people they're interested in fertilization and weed control, but I'm telling you, talking to people, like one of the number one fears is like stage fright. And when you're driving around in a minivan wearing khakis and a polo shirt, walking up to people's doors and asking them if they'd be interested in fertilization or weed control, that can be pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie. I learned a lot about communication in that time, and so did my team. But a lot of the guys I hired, and a lot of the guys and girls I hired, these were people who just were kind of like especially the guys, for example. In the beginning, I wasn't really comfortable hiring girls because I was an idiot. Later, that I ended up only hiring girls because they were the best salespeople in the world. So that just shows you ignorance right there. But a lot of the guys I hired were my friends, and I was an athlete in high school. And a lot of those guys were these big, tough, macho guys or whatever, people who've never shed a tear their entire life of existence, their entire time of existence. And their girlfriends made them go see I Can Only Imagine. And what I saw through this process was these big alpha types, nothing's going to hurt my feelings. If anybody says anything to me, I'm going to beat them up. I mean, these guys were hit hard. I'm not just talking about they cried in the theater, because I wasn't there with them to see that. But like it changed the way they were knocking on doors. It changed the way they viewed people. It really did. Like especially this one guy I'm thinking of. Like it really, really radically just changed his entire perspective of life. And I was like, dang, like a movie did that? A movie made somebody rethink everything and change the way they acted, the way they talked to people. Like that was really interesting. So I reached out, long story short, without talking too many details about that, I ended up being like, I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know when, but I think I want to try to kind of like see what that's all about, like try to get in the movie industry. And then I found out that a movie was coming to Alabama. So I reached out to some people I knew who were involved in the film process, and thought I was going to get hired to be a PA on the film. For those of you who don't know what a PA is, that's a production assistant. And basically, it's just a glorified intern. They just do whatever they're told to do by the producers and whoever's running the show, and the ADs or the assistant directors. So that's what a production assistant is. Well, I get to set, and there was some miscommunication, and I ended up not being on the team at all. And actually, like, just because one of the producers felt bad, he was like, "Yeah, you can like help us pick up trash." And this is the first night on set, and I quit my job to be this PA because I was told I was going to be a PA on the set. And so you know what? But I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to stress about it. I'm just gonna work my butt off and do the best I can and see what happens. So we're there the first night, and I ended up, I guess just because I love people, I ended up becoming the greeter at the door. So we had in this first, the movie is I Still Believe, by the way. That's the movie I worked on. So there's this scene in I Still Believe where there's literally a scene where Jeremy Camp, who's KJ Appa, is on stage, and he's singing in front of 6,000 people. That's how many extras we had there. We had 6,000 extras show up, and I was the person assigned to be the greeter for every single one of those people. So I literally high-fived and shook hands with like 6,000 people that night. And I guess God was in it because one of the producers, I guess, saw me doing that, and he was like, oh, I guess that guy really loves what he does, and I think this guy would be really an asset or something. At the time, I didn't know. I just knew I was like I just knew I was like high-fiving people and saying hello to people. Well, throughout the night, I just, in every way, shape, or form I could, I was like, hey, do you need my help with this? What do you need me to do? Do you need more help with this? Do you need more help with this? And throughout the night, I kept getting more and more responsibility. And then they sent all of us home, and then I noticed that all the producers and some of the PAs were picking up trash when they sent all of the volunteers home. And so I literally go out to my car, and I call my mom, and I'm like, hey, I don't know what happened. And I'm going to be honest, I was mad. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. I don't know how the miscommunication happened, but not only am I not a PA, but like I literally just volunteered all this time. And I mean, I'm happy to do it. I think it's a great movie, but I was really upset. And another thing is I just like literally paid for an apartment down in Mobile because I thought I was going down there. Like I thought there was clear communication that I was going to be on the set. And anyway, so you know what? I go, you know what? I'm going to go back inside and help out some more. So I go back inside and into the Galleria, or to the whatever, the big event place down there in Mobile. And I go back inside and I'm like, hey, I don't really have anything to do tonight, guys. I'm gonna help you pick up some trash. So I spent the next like 3 hours and like 3 o'clock in the morning helping these producers and PAs pick up trash. And then I went home with no expectations. I was like, you know what? If something happens, great. Like clearly, like it doesn't matter who I reach out to. Like I guess I'm just not gonna work on this movie. And then I get a call literally the next day, and they're like, hey, Donnie, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. Like, I'm not doing anything. And they're like, hey, can you come to set? We'd love your help with something else. And anyway, it was just a really cool thing because, long story short, I ended up getting kind of hired back on as a PA throughout the movie. And what's so cool about this story is not only did I get hired back on and get to do more stuff, but I got to do a lot. I got to be on set in a different way and even more than the position I would have been in. I don't know if that made sense or not, but like I literally got to be somebody who called extras and was part of the casting for extras, and I got to end up bringing some of my friends to set. I ended up getting to put a lot of my friends, like literally I have like 13 friends in the movie because I somehow had the ability to like bring people in the movie, and it's just a crazy. Like honestly, I'll probably make a podcast in the future where I just talk about the entire story, but. From there, I was like, man, this was a lot of fun. Not only did I get paid for this, but this was a lot of fun. So, when I was working at the marketing for that lawn care company, I was like, this is fun. But it's like, it's okay. Well, it wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't that fun. I mean, it was a lot of work. It took a lot of stress. There was a lot of paperwork. I had, at one point at the end of it, I was managing 2 different branches, 3 hours away from each other, and I had about 70 people under my team at one branch, and I had about 30 people on my team at another branch that I ended up managing before I left that company. And so there's just a lot of stress on me. I loved it, don't get me wrong. I loved it because I feel like I grew a lot. But when I was working on the set for I Still Believe, I was like, I really enjoy this. Like, this was really cool, especially that I get to interact and talk to and work with so many people. And so from there, I was kind of like, I really think I want to do this as like at least maybe I'm not confident to say that this is a career yet, but I definitely don't want to go back to working for corporate America when there's things like this out there. So I ended up just building my connections with them and growing my friendship with the producers and people in the marketing team throughout that. And long story short, after that, I kind of went into this place where I started studying producer work and studying marketing for the entertainment industry. And then very fortunately, some other things kind of landed on my lap where I got to really help out Gabe and Callie with their stuff, and got to even learn more, because honestly, one thing I've learned is business, music industry, and movie industry, it's all kind of the same stuff, just different situations. It's all really kind of the same. So everything I've learned from helping Gabe and Callie and helping a couple other of my friends who are in the entertainment industry really applies to everything in the movie industry. It's very, 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 very similar. So from there, I was supposed to go back and work on another movie, but ended up the coronavirus happened. So we'll see what happens, I guess, when this is all said and done. But from there, I kind of want to talk to you guys real quickly about what I want to do. And I know I've kind of already talked about that, but I want to be very clear on what I want to do. As of right now, I really want to look into becoming a director, a producer, and an actor, even at a bigger level. And there's actually an interesting thing. I was on the phone with me and Gabe were on the phone with one of our friends earlier, and she's experiencing a lot of success in her career right now. Well, I'll say a lot of exposure. She's experiencing a lot of exposure in her career right now. And we were just talking, and she's like, you know what? I'm just putting out in the world that I want to do this, and it just seems like it's like stuff's happening, right? And it really encouraged me to kind of do the same. So I'm even going to say this in my podcast. In about 3 years from now, they're going to be, Gate is actually backing a movie about my grandfather. My grandfather was a World War II Medal of Honor recipient. And if I'm not mistaken about this, when the movie goes into production, it will be the 80th anniversary since he received the Medal of Honor. Now, when my great-grandfather received the Medal of Honor, he was 23 years old. I will, in fact, be 23 years old when this movie goes into production, if everything stays to schedule. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, that would be really, really cool if that happened. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't have any expectation for me to necessarily play my grandfather in that movie. There may be somebody who's a lot better than me at that time being able to do it. But I will tell you this: I'm going to work my butt off, and Gabe's going to hold me accountable. So I'm going to work my butt off to be somebody who is. I want to be. I don't want to play my grandpa just because I'm the only. I don't want to play my grandpa just because I'm related to him. I want to play him because I am the best choice. I want to be a really phenomenal actor at that time. I have 3 years to really study my butt off and work my butt off to be, number one, the same size as him. For me to play this role, I'm going to have to lose, what did we say earlier, like 120 pounds? Because I gained a lot of weight in that stressful season of mine. Anyway, but I'm going to have to lose like 120 pounds to be the same weight he was at the time. And I'm going to have to develop a ton of acting skills because I've never acted one time in my life. I do feel like, and Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like because of the things I've done in my life, like the sales, like the marketing, like the public speaking I've had to do, I feel like maybe I'm kind of been, I feel like I've just, do what? Yeah, I feel like I've been like kind of primed to have some of the skills that you can't teach. Like I'm not an actor. I don't want to say this yet. I want to be an actor in a couple of years, but I feel like I maybe can learn how to memorize scripts. I may can learn how to be a good actor, but I feel like the charisma and the confidence to say something in front of a camera, I don't feel like some of those things can be taught. Or even if they can, I feel like those are some of the skills I've developed over the past couple of years, doing the things that I've been put in the position of doing. So I'm not worried about it. If I get it, that would be awesome. If I don't get it, I'll be 120 pounds lighter. I'll be a phenomenal actor, and hopefully I will have had some other opportunities in the meantime. So, I don't feel like I can lose. But that's what I'm putting out in the universe. That's what I really want to. That would be an awesome experience that I could do. But in the future, I want to continue my career. I want to start directing videos. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time, and so I'm just going to start grinding stuff out. Stuff I've said I'm going to be doing, stuff I've said I should have done a long time ago. I'm going to start doing. Me and Gabe have been talking about making YouTube videos since I was like 11 years old. And I'm just now doing it at 20 years old, which is pretty sad. But it's better now than never, right? So I'm going to be making some YouTube videos. I'm going to be making this podcast. I'm going to be training my butt off to be an actor. I'm going to be helping the crap out of my friends develop their careers so I can even learn more and even develop my career even better. And I'm going to start directing videos and producing more videos. Oh, I have produced a video. You guys should check it out. I'll put the link in the description of the YouTube for this video, but maybe I don't know if I can put it in the podcast link or whatever. Maybe I can. But I got to produce my first music video. Gabe's gonna be my first guest when I do like a show, when I do the episode where I actually have like another person in here. So we'll probably talk about the process of the music video we made there. But I'm impressed by it, and let me tell you why it's so great. It's not so great because I produced it. It's so great because the freaking team we had. I mean, people stepped up. Number one, we had a great song. I mean, Gabe and Callie are so talented. I told Gabe forever, but now he's actually proved me right. Like, Gabe and Callie are so talented. So we had a phenomenal song that sounds really good, and it was just fun to like kind of write a music video around. The writers of this video just, it was so awesome for us to come together and just make this happen. But the director came in. He was great. He's one of my really good friends from Indiana. Our assistant director and one of our actors in the video. I mean, he's just phenomenal. We could not, honestly, everybody, the lighting, everybody from lighting, from camera. I mean, just everything. The way it happened was just amazing. Everybody, and so we're just so grateful for that. But we'll talk about that later. But yes, I've already produced. I've already produced a video. I'm gonna eventually direct the video pretty soon. Podcast is coming out. YouTube, I'm gonna start vlogging again, and then I'm gonna hopefully be making some other cool content and YouTube video type stuff in the future. And so, guys, let me leave you with this because my MacBook's dying. So let me leave you with this. I want you to pursue your dreams, okay? Like, I'm a dumb 20-year-old, and I'm not trying to be your motivational speaker right now, but I know what it's like to go after something because other people want you to do it. Honestly, I'm not blaming this on anybody. The reason I am 300 pounds right now is because of myself, but if I'm being completely honest, it's because I had a lot of stress and I was young and stupid and did not know how to handle all the pressure for me to go to college that I had on me. I mean, everybody that I looked up to and respected, except for some people in my family, like my parents, I love them to death. They're awesome parents. But everybody but very select people, very select friends, very select family members were pressuring me to go to college. And I think college is great. I'm not necessarily janking on college. It's great for certain people. But for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. It had nothing to, and I knew, but one thing I did know is college had nothing to do with what I wanted to particularly do. And man, I mean, if I would have went to college, I wouldn't have freaking any of the opportunities I have right now. Like that would have been a horrible choice for me, for say. Maybe I wouldn't have, who knows? But what I'm trying to say is like, please don't make a decision because people are pressuring you into it. Make a decision because you feel like it's the best. Go to college because you feel like college is the best decision for what you want to do later. And if you don't know what you want to do, and you are a smart person academically and you have all these scholarships, go to college, have the college experience. That's awesome. But if you're like me and you're not necessarily... Anyway, long story ran short, what I'm trying to say is like, listen, you've only... Oh, okay, here's what I want to say. My friend, a couple days ago, here's what I want to tell you. I'm sorry that I've like went on for so long, everybody. I know I'm probably boring you to death, but I really want to say this. A couple days ago, a guy that I went to high school with, who was a couple years younger than me, he graduated with my brother last year. He actually ended up passing away on Friday, last Friday. He wasn't necessarily my best friend, but he definitely was a friend of mine, and he was somebody who looked up to me. He was somebody who, the night he graduated, my brother had a lot of the people who graduated with him come over to our house. And all night long, and I had a couple people over who graduated with me. And all night long, he was up. He actually stayed up all night long before he went to work at Chick-fil-A the next morning, talking to us about, hey, like I'm about to go to college. I'm about to join the Navy. Like, you guys got any advice for like making friends? You guys got any advice for like how to get your work done, but also go have a social life? And I mean, all night long we stayed up. And this kid, like, he was so driven. He was already in the Navy. This kid's free time was not spent watching TV. This guy went outside and would literally go scuba diving and go spearfishing and like go drive boats and jet skiing. Like, and he made a YouTube channel where he like went underwater and explored things. And this guy was just a phenomenal person. And we actually, like a couple days before he passed away, we were Snapchatting back and forth. He's one of the 15 people I Snapchat. And he actually sent me a picture right before he went out on the boat Friday. And little did he know when he went out on that boat that day, when he went to go scuba diving, that he would be underwater and come up, and an oncoming boat would be coming by, and it would hit him in the head, hit him and his friend who were out in the water. and it hit my friend in the head, and he ended up, from what they know, I don't know all the details currently yet, but for what they know, he died instantly, and his friend is still actually in the hospital today after 3 days because he's still got some very bad injuries. But what I want to leave you with is this. If anybody's going to die in life early, it was that kid. And if anybody should not have died early, it was that kid, because that kid was driven. He was going to make an impact on the world. I really believe that. So what that tells me logically is nobody's special, because if he can pass away, then I can pass away and you can pass away. We're not promised tomorrow. We're not even promised the rest of this day. This may be the last public thing I ever get to say. If that happens, Gabe, like post this in there. So I just want to leave you with this, and that was a really long explanation to say, please, 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 if you wanted to go do something, go do it. Screw what everybody else says about that situation. I'm serious. Go after it. It's gonna suck in the beginning. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like this podcast, I'm gonna look back at this podcast after the 100th episode and be like, bro, you talked way too long. You talked way too fast. What the heck were you? You said the same thing 100 times. But I'm telling you, after you start with what you got. Gabe's really helped me set up a really good lighting setup, a really good mic setup. Like, just start where you are and go after it with everything you've got, because you may not have tomorrow. You may not have tomorrow. And if you go to college because you were pressured into it, I'm telling you, you're going to wake up and you're going to be 300 pounds and hate yourself. So, what a great way to end it. All right, guys, long talking short. I'm going to end the episode here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram at Donny Herndon. Follow me on Twitter at Donny Herndon. Follow me on YouTube at Donny Herndon Vlogs. And follow me. Yeah, I think that's everything. You can friend me on PS4 at I'm Don DONE135 on PS4, and I'll play with you on Warzone. But I'll end the podcast there. Be looking out for next Friday. Is what I'm going to post the next one. I'm so bad at this. I love it. Next Friday, I'm going to post the next episode. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Peace.